Hi everyone. By the end of this class, you'll be able to ask and answer yes and no questions and WH questions using the verb to be in the past. For example, you'll be able to ask the following questions. Were you born in this city? When were you born? Where were you born? So we're going to try to make sense of these two questions that you see there on the left. Where were you born? Were you born in Buenos Aires? And the first thing that I want to point out is the following, that we're still going to continue to follow that rule that we learned in our previous lesson, which was that we're going to follow the verb to be, either was or were, depending on the pronoun. So if I talk about I, he, she, or it, then the verb to be that we'll use will be was. And whenever we talk about the pronouns we, you, or they, the verb to be that we're going to use will be were. Now, let's try to make sense of the different types of questions that we have. First of all, we're going to talk about yes or no questions. And that will be the second one that you see there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make sense of that question, and then we're going to practice making a few. So let me start by writing down a formula. So the first thing that we're going to include will be the verb to be, and I'm going to go ahead and color this in, let's say, green. I'm going to go ahead and color this subject in, let's say, red. And the complement, I'm going to go ahead and color that in something different. I'm going to go ahead and use blue this time, right? And so let's do the following. Let me write down the verb to be here. And then this is going to follow the subject. And after this will follow the complement. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and change the colors there. Okay. All right, there we go. So in order for us to make questions in the past using the verb to be, what we're going to do is we're going to use the verb to be in the past, either was or were. And I mentioned that we need to recall this rule that we learned in our previous lesson in order to understand that. Then this follows the subject, and then this will follow whatever complement that you want to ask. So if we look at our example here, were you born in Buenos Aires? And the answer to this question will be, yes, I was. That will be the short answer. And the negative response will be, no, I wasn't. And of course, this will vary depending on the pronoun. Let's say that I change the subject now. And let's say that now I want to ask about he. So how are we going to do that? Well, first of all, we need to recall that whenever we use the pronoun he, we're going to use the verb to be was. So therefore, we'll say, was he born in China? And of course, we also need to recall that here we can use names instead of the pronouns. So was Mary born in China? Was Peter born in China, etc. So what I want to do now is I want to talk about creating WH questions. And in order for us to create WH questions, we're pretty much going to follow the same pattern. So as you can see, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this previous rule here. And the only difference that we're going to have in creating WH questions is that I'm going to write some sort of WH word. And what are those WH words? Well, you can see the example that we have on this little chart. We're going to use WH words such as where, who, what, when, why, etc. That's what we mean by WH words. And so that it's what's gonna be included at the very beginning, and everything else will pretty much stay the same. I'm gonna go ahead and change the color this differently just to make sure that we know what's happening there. So let me do that right now. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna have some sort of WH word, and then that's gonna follow the verb to be in the past. Then it's gonna follow the subject and then whatever complement that exists. So if we look at our example, where were you born? right? So there, let me write the same one there, where the verb to be, oops, and then this is going to follow the subject, and then whatever complement, and then we have ourselves a WH question. And WH question simply means information questions, if you will, also if you want to look at them that way. What I would like for you to do now is to practice the concept that we just learned. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pose some questions here for you. And I would like for you to answer these questions and come up with as many others that you possibly can. Try to make those yes or no questions or WH questions.